Hello, humane marketers. Sarah Znekrocha here. Welcome to another episode of the Humane Marketing Podcast, a place to be for the generation of marketers who cares. This is the show where we talk about marketing your business in a way that feels good to you, is aligned with your values, and also resonates more with your conscious customers because it's not pushy, ethical, and also beautiful. So if you're a regular here, you know that I'm organizing the conversations around the 7 Ps of humane marketing. And if you're new here and this is your first time, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. You may want to download your one-page marketing plan with the 7 Ps of humane marketing in the form of a mandala at humane.marketing/one page, the number one and page. So again, humane.marketing/one page. And with that, with no further ado, let's dive into today's conversation. Hi, Uta. How are you today?
Hi, Sarah. Yes, I'm very well. Thank you.
So good to have you on the Humane Marketing Podcast. Welcome.
Great. Thank you.
I'm super excited also to have you in the community to talk to us about this topic of website care and maintenance for conscious business owners. So looking forward to March 5th. But before, let's have a conversation about this topic, which I think is very relevant. And it combines, like we said, it combines kind of two topics. On one hand, it's focused on the business owner because we're talking about the maintenance and the care that goes into a website. But then it also concerns the conscious client, because that's the person who visits our website. So maybe let's start with the conscious client. Like if you think about a website, what do you feel today that are the main key elements that a conscious client looks for when landing on a website? Like, what are they paying attention to?
Yes. So conscious clients, of course, it depends whether it's a service or a product. So, it's slightly different. But generally, in addition to any client wanting to know that the service or the product is right for them, they also want to know the background of the company. So if it's a product, they want to know where is the material from, where has it been sourced, how has it been manufactured, how is the packaging provided, how is the transport, everything around it, whether this is as green as it possibly can be, whether it's sourced in an ethical way, and everything that is really caring for the environment and people. Services, since they're not offering a product, they don't have any sourcing material in that way. But even the website itself is also how a website is being, how the business itself that is having the website is conducting business. So, for example, if they're a smaller or bigger company, how they are, with their employees? Are they giving back to the community? Do they have certain programs that help the community, also make it more inclusive? So there's a whole lot that different businesses can do to really show and demonstrate that they are a conscious business, that they're inclusive, that they take responsibility socially and environmentally, and that they're doing the best that they can in providing a good service and product that is also really provided in a conscious way.
Yeah, so good. Thanks for giving those examples. Now, in our case, we mainly have solopreneurs, right? So these are not, most of my listeners don't have a product. There are coaches, consultants, trainers, etc. And so where, like on the website, would you mention any of these engagements that you mentioned that, for example, you give back to the community, or that you're supporting a cause or something like that? Where do people usually mention that?
Yeah. So one page, which is great, is, for example, the About page. Or alternatively, they could even create a separate page, a sustainability page or how we contribute page. But so the About page everything on the website is about the consumer rather than the business itself. In the about page, there's more sort of freedom to also really talk about the company in a way that really shows who they are. So the case of a one-person business, a one person, that person is the business. We are the reflection of the company. So we can share our values of also share what we're doing. So for example, if the website is hosted by a green hosting company, um, then that would be a great place to also show that on the website. Because I think sometimes people um, they support a lot of be it growing trees or supporting charities and doing quite a lot, but sometimes they're even hesitant of putting that on the website out of fear that perhaps it comes across in the way that I want to show off that we are doing all these activities to help others. But I think I think it's really good to show if this is authentically and truthfully what the company or the one person is doing, then to show that on the website, for example, if they're supporting a charity, perhaps they're having a blog where they could write about a recent event where they were involved when they were raising money for a charity, for example. So all of these information, I think all of that information is really great to share because really it shows of who that person, that business is.
Yeah, those are great places. Obviously, I think the about page, besides the home page, is actually the most visited page of a website, right? Because people are just curious. And you said it so, yeah, eloquently. It's not so much about the owner, or not only about the owner of the website. Yes, people are curious about the owner of the website, but I always explain it like a mirror almost, like they come to the about page to find out whether they're looking at themselves and whether they see themselves in the owner of this website, or in my case, since I work a lot with solopreneurs specifically, but even on a product or a company website, we are looking whether we are aligned with this company, and that's what happens on the about page. So yeah, I totally agree with you that that's a good place. I think I have actually a few like logos of, collaborations that I have at the bottom, like in the footer of one of the pages, or maybe even on. Can't remember. Should I look that up? But that's another way to have certain logos that you want to highlight and put them in the footer of the website. What do you think about that?
Yes, absolutely. Or any certifications or, organizations that you're a member of, absolutely to place those in the footer is a great place.
Yeah. So conscious clients, they're not just conscious, but they also, I feel like they're more thorough in their research, and they really come to your website to get a lot of information. So what is some of the information that you want to make sure that they have access to, besides these collaborations that we just mentioned, and maybe how does storytelling have a role in that?
Mhm. Yes, so when you think of a website, there are really two parts to the website. So there are the main pages, which are, the home, the about, the individual service pages, a contact page. This is which makes up the basic structure of the website. And within that, you're also sharing your story or the story that is speaking to the client to help them understand what you're offering and whether that is the right thing. And then you have, I suggest people to have a blog because the blog serves several purposes. On the one hand, a blog is the place where you can really write and go deeper into certain aspects of your work or the values and what is important to you, because that doesn't all fit onto one page. It would be overwhelm for a client to read everything. But so this is really good where you have a blog because it can demonstrate, that you're an expert in what you're in the service that you're providing. You can share more about you, your values. You can demonstrate that more. And it's also great for SEO. So for SEO, you need to have more content, highly valuable content. And so you can share more about that in the various blog posts.
Yeah, so true. And it's funny because it's actually just today that we're having the SEO workshop, collab workshop with Kelly Druitt, and that combination of content and then also kind of tricking the algorithm to show up for the right people, right? For those conscious clients. I find that fascinating that we can play the game, but play it in a humane way so that it benefits us. And yes, you're so right. The blog helps us go beyond just the about page, right? So even if we're
Mhm.
not just aiming for SEO, it just gives us extra space that we can use to expand on those topics. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. So for this, a blog is really the perfect solution instead of cramming it all into one page.
right. I I, um, I think it was a contact on LinkedIn. I'm trying to remember her name. She's from the Philippines. I think her first name is Czech or Julio or something like that. I'll have to look her up and quote her in the show notes. But she's really into sustainability, and she had this kind of template how to create a sustainability page for your small business, which I really loved. And what I loved about it is that she invited us to tell our story with sustainability. Because again, we're not a huge corporation where we have a sustainability department and everything is perfect and we're totally totally bought into sustainability and we're now an expert in sustainability. We're not. I followed that template that she shared and really just with transparency shared my story of how sustainability has become more and more important to me. So if listeners are curious, you can go to humane.marketing/sustainability and just kind of see how I share that story. I think that's important in the small business field because it can feel overwhelming. This whole sustainability thing can feel totally overwhelming, and we can feel like, who are we to want to even try to make an impact here as, solopreneurs? But we actually can make a small impact, and all of the small impacts make a big impact, as we know. So yeah, really, really like this idea of transparency and just saying, hey, yes, I take flights because that's important to me. But I have many other things where I feel like I'm doing a good job. I think that that's another topic. It's kind of like this shaming that goes around the sustainability topic, and that's difficult to deal with. So yeah.
Yes, I agree. I think that is also partly tying into what I was sharing before, that people then are hesitant about sharing anything on the website because somehow it could perhaps have a drawback, even though the intention was coming from a good place. But I think I like to think that we're all on a journey. So it's not that we are the completed end product in a conscious business that does everything correctly, because it is a process. We're just becoming better and better and becoming more sustainable and more conscious. So we are all in different places, and I just encourage that everyone is on that journey, and we're all getting better and better, and that's what we can do.
Yeah, exactly. Let's switch topics and now go to the business owner part and more of the website maintenance. So, yeah, what role does website maintenance have to play in this whole field of being a conscious entrepreneur? What matters there?
Yeah, so I see a website like the shop window to a shop or a restaurant. And when you go past the shop window should really be a great reflection of what the shop is actually offering, being clean, up to date, appealing to that type of client or customer that they want to attract, and being taken care of. And so for me, the website is exactly the same. And especially for a solopreneur, the business is a reflection of who we are. And I see that the website is really a reflection of that business. So to make sure that it's really up to date with the offerings that we're having, that we're keeping that fresh, that we are updating, if you've got any new certifications, for example, or client reviews, that we're adding them to the website. So the website isn't a one, a once it's done kind of project. It's an ongoing project. And I also find it actually helps me to look at myself, at my business when I look at my website, because it gives me a reflection back of, okay, that's where I'm at now.
Mm.
So I like it actually as a kind of a journey of business and personal development. That's the way I see the website. So it depends whether you have a WordPress website, a Wix or Squarespace or something else in terms of what you actually need to do. So I'm going to focus on WordPress websites because this is where you as the business owner have to do more tasks than somebody who has a Wix or Squarespace or some other website.
Mm.
What's really important is that you keep an eye on always updating WordPress, the plugins, and the themes, because what happens if that isn't done regularly is that hackers could hack one's website, and the website owner might not even be aware that they've been hacked. And that could go on for a really, really long time. They couldn't realize that at all. Then the website could also be infected with malware. And then from then on, it's just you need to basically try to either remove the malware and sometimes just start again with a fresh website. So you don't want to have that happen. And this is why it's really important to keep an eye and keep always software updated. And that's actually also quite an easy thing to do. It's not a very complicated thing to do.
Yeah. It happened to me twice, and I can't like even though I updated the plugins, so I was just super, super happy that I had a backup. Actually, I had a backup from the host, but then an additional backup that I pay for annually. So yeah, it's just such a pain when you get hacked, and oftentimes you don't, yeah, you don't notice it unless you're on your website like daily, and or of course you have clients tell you that, something's wrong there. So yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that is the other really important task to do is to have regular backups. Very often the hosting companies offer that as part of the package, but it's good to have an additional set of backups for yourself that you can also automate, have that backed up every week or however you want to choose to a drive. And yes, always good to have a backup and be able to restore the website.
Mm, yeah. What about from the visitor's perspective? I always hear that speed is a big deal. I think it's a big deal for SEO, but it's obviously also kind of important for the visitor. So maybe the question is, well, what makes a website fast or on the other hand slow? And how can we prevent that or keep up with maintenance to not have that happen?
Yeah. So one of the major um, reasons why websites are slow are because there could be very large images or media files, a lot of animations
Mm.
that just make the website load quite slowly. So whenever somebody uploads a new blog post or any other image, to always optimize the images is really important. It's also important from a sustainability point of view because it's smaller in data, so it takes less storage space. So optimizing images is really important, and also clearing out, your media folder once every, so often to delete any images that, one doesn't need. Sometimes, people upload several versions of the same image because the sizing wasn't quite correct, but then they leave all the old versions on there. So good housekeeping really helps with that.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Like, and informing everybody who's working on your website, because I had that happen where I was very diligent, but I hadn't thought of, oh, I need to inform my virtual assistant who's actually doing all the podcast show notes. And so we had these mega big files, image files, and I couldn't understand why this was happening. So yeah, like anybody who touches your website needs to understand A, how you minimize the images, and B, why we're doing it. So true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And Mhm.
Yeah, so explain to us, you mentioned, it also matters from a sustainability perspective. Like explain that to us
Mm.
because I remember just a few years back, I'm working with the a company called Pond Foundation, where I do measure my emissions and buy credits every year. But before that, I actually, while I was talking to them, I was like, well, I don't really create any emissions because I'm a digital business. And so,
Mm.
there's nothing there. And then they were explaining to me how this works. So please do explain it
Yeah.
to our listeners as well.
Yes, I mean, it's so easy to forget or to not even think about that actually everything that we're doing online, every single email that we send, every website that we load, every YouTube video that we watch, that everything that all takes electricity, it takes energy, and it takes storage space to show all of that to us. And so that is where energy is being used up, and it accumulates quite a bit because there is just so much data, going back and forth all the time. So this is why just being conscious of that, or being aware that just because we live having a digital business, we don't drive the car and we don't take flights to visit clients, doesn't mean that we don't use up resources and energy. We do.
Mm.
So, and this is where it's really important to be mindful of. And in the green website field or sustainability field, there are several agencies now that actually specifically focus on building low carbon websites because that is important to the world consumers and businesses.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much. I have actually a specific question that is going to help me, but hopefully also others. What about videos? I think when we embed videos in our website, that's really bad, even worse than pictures, right? Is that correct? And if it is, well, what do we do instead? Like, it's very awkward to just include the link and then have people have to go to YouTube. So what do you recommend to clients who want to embed a video on, not on a homepage? I think that's kind of passé. It's but maybe on a replay page or something like that.
Well, the embedding the video, you're actually just creating the link. You're not uploading the video and the huge file to your website. So it's not being
Okay.
stored on the website. So whether it's being watched, via your website or on YouTube directly isn't really going to make much of a difference in that sense because it's just displaying it for your website, but it's not stored in any way on your website.
Okay, so it's the storage part that would be bad. That would
Yeah,
A, slow down my
yeah,
website and B, yeah, create more. Okay. So the embedding part doesn't is not the
no,
problem. Okay.
no,
Good. So you host it on YouTube and then you just get the embed code.
exactly.
Okay, great. Wonderful. What other maintenance tasks did we not mention yet? Anything else that comes to mind before we wrap up here and you give us a little sneak preview?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to hear, I'm sure, a lot about that, tonight in your workshop about SEO, but website maintenance is also really important for SEO. So, checking, for example, uh, that you don't have any dead links, for example, on the website. So this is also something can be done automatically. There are loads of websites that offer that to remove any of the links, and then adding content monthly to really update your website, which is good for SEO. Search engines love it that you have new content. If you don't really keep your website up to date and refresh it with content and information, then that doesn't send a good signal to the search engines. So that is another really key aspect of website maintenance is to continue to adding content, valuable content that your clients want to read.
That's a good point because I kind of stopped blogging for a few months now. So we need to go back there because, yeah, I do have a few keywords that do really well. But what you're saying is like if I slow down and I don't add new content, then that might slow down as well, because basically the search crawls are going to be like, well, this website is not active anymore.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Well, give us a sneak preview of the workshop and what we're going to go into there.
Yeah, so in the workshop, we're going to go through more also activities of how to actually do the backup of a website. Going to also share a very easy process of how to add an accessibility widget to your website, which is, of course, really important for websites in general, but also specifically for conscious businesses to make it really accessible to everyone. How to back up your website, your WordPress website, if you don't know how to do that. Also, that's a free backup plugin, so you don't need to pay any fees for that. Same with the accessibility widget. Also, that's also for free. So there's more hands-on activities looking at, one's websites. I'm also there, of course, to answer any questions that people might have regarding to the back-end workings of the WordPress website.
Yeah, I love that. And as always on these collab workshops, we're going to be putting people into breakout rooms. And I just thought of this now, is like, have them as accountability buddies going forward. So after the workshop, maybe they can check in with each other and say, hey, did you upload that plugin, and give each other feedback on their websites. I think it's so valuable to have this peer collaboration going on as well.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely.
Well, thanks so much for being here, Uta, and please let people know where they can find you, and then I'll tell them how to get to the workshop as well. But go ahead and please share your website and any resources.
Right. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Sarah, for having me. And I'm really looking forward to the workshop. And yes, so people can find me on carrotandkarma.com. And my name is Uta Demontis, and I'm also on LinkedIn.
Mm, love that website name, Carrot and Karma. Very easy to remember because it just, yeah, stands out. Yeah, it's wonderful. And so if you feel like, yes, I definitely would like to come to the workshop and learn more, and then actually roll back your sleeves and do some of these things that Uta just mentioned, go to humane.marketing/workshop. And as always, these workshops are held in our community, the Humane Marketing Circle. And so you can join just for this session for a small donation. And yeah, it would be lovely to see you. So this is on March 5th. And again, you go to humane.marketing/workshop. And we look forward to seeing you there. So much for being here, Uta.
Thank you.
Yay. Where's the stop button? There. Thanks so much for watching and being part of a generation of marketers who cares for yourself, for your clients, and for the planet. We really are change makers before we are marketers. So go ahead, be the change you want to see in the world. And I hope to see you again next week. Take care.